also honoured this year to be the Royal Australian Chemical Institute Hartung Lecturer. Usually this would mean that during Science Week I'd come out and visit your schools and tell you all about the research that I do in my lab. However, this year it's a little bit different and I'm coming to you from my dining room through my daughter's iPad. So what do I actually do and how did I become the scientist that I am today? When I was at high school like you guys, all I wanted to do was become a vet. It was my lifelong dream. I did really well in Year 12 and got into the first year of vet science at Melbourne Uni. However, within a few months I realised that maybe it wasn't exactly what I was looking for and was really lost with what direction I would take. One thing I was really interested in was how drugs interact in our body and stop us from being sick and cure diseases. So I decided to major in that arm of science, which is called pharmacology. During the last year of my pharmacology undergraduate, which is the first part of a university degree, I did a practical class where we were looking at the way that they were using computers to design drugs that were going to help AIDS patients and in some cases cure them. This was a huge issue at the time and really groundbreaking stuff. And it really sparked a strong interest in me and is the way that I've kind of taken my career since then. So I went on and did honours with the lecturer that gave that tute for me at Melbourne Uni, designing drugs for a protein called phosphodiesterase. This protein is involved in heart disease, and so the drugs that we were designing were being aimed to stop heart disease. I loved it so much I went on and did a PhD in the same sort of area, although looking at a different phosphodiesterase this time, one that was involved in prostate cancer. And I did that at Monash University. After the university, I was really interested in how we can commercialise our science. Part of being a scientist is not just inventing things, but also being able to help people, and that involves getting commercial companies involved. So I went on and worked with a couple of those commercial companies before starting my career in a crystallography lab at St Vincent's Institute. So what crystallography is they make crystals of proteins and shine light through them, and they get this beautiful diffraction pattern. And from here we can begin to understand what the protein looks like. My job in this lab was to then design drugs against this protein of interest. So I'm not talking about the protein that you eat in your meat, but rather the proteins that are around, going through our body at all the time, and any sort of imbalance in these proteins is what causes diseases. So we know that these proteins, they kind of interact with each other, kind of send a message across throughout the cell of the body, and as I said, an imbalance in those will cause things such as cancer to grow. So if we can target those proteins with drugs, we can stop those interactions from happening and hopefully stop the cancer from growing. So the way that I did that in Michael's lab and continue to do that in my own lab at RMIT is by using computer-aided drug design. So we use a method called virtual screening, where we have libraries of millions and millions of potential drugs, and we use computers to dock those or sort of fit them against the protein that we're interested in. By doing those, we can see the ones that fit that protein really well, and they're the ones that we then purchase and test in the lab. So that's what I've been doing in my lab for the last few years, and through this we've been able to design lots and lots of drugs, particularly in the sphere of cancer, but also really focused on Alzheimer's as well as things like heart disease. Science is all about collaboration. I work with many other scientists. So I'm a medicinal chemist, but I haven't been in a chemistry lab for a long time. But I work really closely with chemists and also biologists so that they can test all of our ideas. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of a taste of the things that I'm interested in science. But as a real life scientist, we're not just all stuck in the lab doing science, we also have other interests in life. And one of my interests is obviously sharing science with other people, including kids. I'm also really interested in building diversity in science and getting funding in science, because diverse people bring the best ideas together. I'm also a mum of 2 kids, and so that takes up a lot of my time as well. And so I hope that you guys have a great science week. It's a shame that I couldn't be there in person to talk to you and hear and for you guys to have some really good examples of what my research is. But hopefully you'll enjoy this video, and if you have any questions, I'm sure that you guys can get in contact with me in the future. Thanks.